Hello everyone, how we doing today? I hope everyone is well. Today, I'm talking about a movie that I recently went to see in the theater. The movie's called Warfare. A few months ago, the trailer for this film was released. And ever since then, the film has been a little controversial. This is a war film set in 2006 Iraq. From my understanding of the controversy, many people took away the idea that this film is more pro-military and essentially pro-America, all from the trailers. With that in mind, I went into this film with a critical lens because of what was being said online. When it comes to war films, how they present themselves is very important to me. I'm gonna come out and say it. War is bad. I don't like it. Yep. It's bad. When a film presents war in a fun and enthusiastic way, I don't really connect with it as much. My favorite war film has always been, for a long time now, the film Come and See. It's a Russian film that I feel like best represents the emotions of war, all while being artfully presented and meaningful. What I love about the film is that it's just chaos through and through. It really presented war in the best way. The film is just an aimless journey through tragedy with hellish imagery. The main character never fires a single bullet in the film. It's thought-provoking and horrifically beautiful. Now, on the opposite side of that coin would be a film that kind of represents in a more enthusiastic way. And of course, it's American Hollywood film. That film would be Saving Private Ryan. Now, keep in mind, I still think that this is a good movie. I just don't connect with it as much as other films in the genre. In Saving Private Ryan, the film starts with a very graphic battle. But I feel like the film starts off with this battle scene just to exhilarate the audience. Within the film, there is clear objectives that the characters have to go through, and it's more of just a basic drama. It's well shot and it has good direction, but like I said, I just don't fully connect with the military side of the film. With films like these, all the choices of the edit as well as the story and techniques within the film create the emotions, whether it to be enthusiastic, like go sign up today, we want you for the military, that type of vibe, or more of a nightmarish vibe. Now that I've established the two sides of this coin, both good movies, but opposite in structure, Warfare is a fascinating experience. With everything I've just said in mind, Warfare doesn't fully land on one side. Warfare stars an ensemble cast about a specific situation during the Iraq War of 2006. This film takes a very matter-of-fact approach to the events at hand. It shows in a very realistic way a battle environment and how it influences the soldier's psyche. From the first viewing, I really had an intense and emotional experience with this film. I personally found this film to be critical of the Iraq War, while also being enthusiastic towards the soldiers who took part in the battle. One of the things I love about this film is really how the film cares about the characters and thoroughly fleshes out how they were affected. Everyone had shit going on, and you could feel the high stress getting to each soldier in different ways. Also within the story, each character held a level of importance. What I mean about that is if someone was hurt, that was a clear focus for essentially the rest of the runtime. In the film Saving Private Ryan, someone would get blown up in the background, and that would be the last we'd see of that guy. As if the action is not important and the weight of the person's life is not important also. And while Saving Private Ryan is a different film, with different goals, now in this film, every character is important. That level of connection with each character really made me feel extremely stressed and emotional as to what was taking place on screen. I love that the film starts with the idea that what we see isn't necessarily real or fake, but all based on the subjective memories of the people who were there. As I watched along, that stayed pretty apparent in my mind. There were tiny details here and there that were purposefully placed in the film by someone who had it burned into their memory. It's a heavy thing to think about, and with all that said, this film is still very controversial even after its release. A good bit of people are saying that this film is glorifying war, and it's essentially like a Call of Duty mission. I very much disagree with that sentiment. With how heavy the subject matter is and how it was presented, I took away this idea that war shouldn't be a thing because of the obvious negative impact it has on people. I got the message that war bad. I also got this idea that the people involved were kind of victims of this hellish environment. It's a terrible situation that horribly impacted both sides. I also really like how it shows the US soldiers holding a family hostage. Essentially, it shows that neither side was perfect, and I wouldn't consider any of the sides the good guys or the bad guys. Yes, this film focuses mostly on the US soldiers, but they still didn't fully seem like the good guys. They were just people that were put into a bad situation. That war shouldn't be a thing because of its devastation. All that being said, I haven't really even talked about the technicals of the movie. The film, even though it's very straightforward with how it handles its subject matter, I will say it was artfully presented. It's exceptionally well shot with big wides that have the soldiers all framed very well. The sound design was exceptional. How the gunfire sounded would bounce through the room. It brought an overwhelming sense, and all I could think about was how I would not be able to think properly in that situation. The editing was pretty great. There was slow tension that was built through the regular, as well as sequential editing. There was a proper rise and fall of tension as well. The performances were also soul-piercing from the cast. Not just what they were saying, but some of their facial expressions. Some characters would have a wide-eyed expression and a stare that was really hard to watch. In the middle of the movie, something happens, and a soldier gets hurt. The scream that they gave off was so disturbing and heart-wrenching. You could feel the pain in their voice. The best way I describe it is it was a scream that genuinely felt like it hit the soul. I also loved how the camera would stay on some frames of people to really enhance the situation and the emotion of the film. This film is absolutely an assault on the psyche, and you can tell that this situation impacted the lives of many. The pacing was very quick, with the runtime being close to 95 minutes. While I know that this film is not connecting with some people, I was deeply impacted by this experience. And as of April of 2025, this is my favorite film of the year. That might change over time, I don't know, but right now I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. The next film I want to talk about today is Bring Her Back. This is directed by two brothers, I believe. They started out as YouTubers, then premiered their filmmaking careers with Talk to Me. I don't know how to say their last name. Talk to Me is a clever and fun horror film that is very well executed. From the beginning, they actually wanted and cared about making quality and saying something creative. Talk to Me got pretty popular a few years ago. A few years later, they are back with their second film. This film is about a brother and sister that gets placed in foster care, all while having to navigate a loss and process grief. The main thing I was thinking about when watching this film was how did the creatives improve? I was kind of comparing this film with their last. After my first watch of Bring Her Back, I do think that this film is quite an improvement from the first. With their first film, Talk to Me, it was well made but lacking in some of the writing department. But with this new film, I love that not only what we are seeing is disturbing and kind of fucked up, but there's an emotional weight to it that I felt strongly. There's reinforcement of ideas that I found to be emotional through this film that was very effective. The best way to describe many aspects of this film is effective. I will say the film starts off rocky and a little clunky. The creatives are trying to fit a lot of pieces of the story in the film with only an hour and 40-minute runtime. It felt a little jumbled at the start. However, the further the film went along, I was kind of loving it more and more. There are many moments in the film that felt motivated and purposeful in terms of the characters and filmmaking. One thing I love about the film is that when it comes to the horror elements, it doesn't fully explain in detail how everything works. The audience can piece the elements together. When a film babies the audience and treats them like they're stupid, it annoys me. With this film, the editor and directors actually leave things a little open-ended for the audience to think about. It makes the content and the horror elements more disturbing to me. There was a moment near the end of the film with a panning shot of the swimming pool that was very important to the story. The sound design and the camera work as well as the story all coming together in that moment made an awesome scene that really stuck with me in my head. From the first time seeing the film, I really had a solid experience. With Bring Her Back, I'm feeling a light 8 out of 10. Very solid and disturbing film that has really stuck with me for a bit. Thank you for watching. For some reason, April usually brings some of my favorite movies. I don't know why. It was Challengers last year around this time. Now it's Warfare. Anyways, I hope you have a good one, and I'm out. Bye-bye.